So I know our listeners are going to want to hear some tasting notes, and they're going to want to do some comparing and contrasting from Chartreuse. Obviously, what everybody's eyes are fixed on, right? From the peanut gallery, from the audience here, the question we all want to know is, can I sub this in 1-to-1 for Chartreuse? I'm not going to answer that question right now because I think ultimately the answer is sure or maybe. But I want to get the flavor notes. So for the green, I don't have the Chartreuse to compare it to, but I've drunk a lot of Chartreuse and I have a pretty reliable recall of that flavor profile. The difference visually is this has a different green than Green Chartreuse. It has a deeper, it's lighter in saturation, but it's deeper in color. I'll say that again. It's lighter in saturation, so it's a paler green, but the green that is here as compared to Green Chartreuse is more of like a pine green than it is like a leafy green. I think the Green Chartreuse is more in the leafy as opposed to the pine. So that's compelling to me. This seems a little bit thinner in the glass, which is not necessarily like how it's going to act on the palate. And I'm noticing the big difference here. You get some notes that are very similar. You get the spearmint, you get the alpine flowers, you get the grass, you get some really nice base note spices, but there's a peppery note, almost like a lemon pepper that kind of runs through, almost like maybe even like a mustard seed in a way that kind of runs through the Izarra that is definitely absent from what I experienced in Chartreuse. And so tasting this for the first time, that's really what I'm latching onto. I'm saying, ooh, this is different. And when every time I take a sip, I'm like, it seems like Chartreuse. And then that little pepper note kicks in. I don't know, Alain, if there's some particular botanical that's doing that.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, it's we could mention all the botanicals, but I mean, the sum of the botanicals, the result is totally different than just a pure addition of everything. It's a conjunction of everything. Right. And it has this little peppery, anise, minty finish, thyme. I love the little thyme that you find at the back.
That's what stays at the very end, that kind of piney, almost like you're, in that wet, cold pine forest and you can really smell the trees. You're kind of, that flavor stays on your palate. The sugar is very subdued. It's nowhere near as sweet as Jägermeister or, in fact, most liqueurs. But of course, alcohol cuts the sweetness, right? So it is 80 proof. The other thing I find, and I don't know if Alain agrees, but, and of course, I know this will come up later in various questions, but it's not 55 degrees or 110 proof. It's 80 proof.
And it holds itself at 80 proof.
Right, at different spirits at different proofs. Some at a lower proof taste stronger than one at a higher proof, right? Depending on the sugar, again, the alchemy of the particular liqueur, And this has, to me, it has a pretty solid bite for 80 proof. So that
it does.
How that works in the cocktails, that'll be the mixologist.